Marc Raimondi for ESPN, joined today by the BMF, the OG, Jorge Gamebred Masvidal, looking extremely Miami as always, eating some coconut, chilling with the shirt open. I love it. Jorge, you're here today. I want to discuss with you Gamebred Bareknuckle MMA, November 10th, big card. Alan Belcher, Roy Nelson for the heavyweight title. Mr. Promoter, Masvidal, how pumped are you for this one? There's a lot of good fighters on this card. UFC veterans like Francisco Trinaldo,
Yes.
Randy Costa goes down the line. Very good card.
Jason Knight, one of the original figures in bare knuckle fighting, now coming to MMA, doing it full circle. So, like you said, I think we have over 12 ex-UFC veterans competing on the card, PFL, Bellator guys, and just matching them all against each other and see who rises to the top. Same rules as MMA, just no gloves, I know there's a lot of different promotions and a lot of new rules and stuff going out there, but we're the same rules as MMA, just no gloves. What does that mean? More finishes in the submission department and more knockouts, more cuts, more violence. I love it. I think it's the purest form of combat. It's the rawest form, and I love it, man. That's all I can say. This fight, Roy Nelson, Adam Belcher, I promise you, it'll be one of the best fights in history in the bare knuckle program division. It'll be one of the best in ever. I predict. I think this is our most stacked card as well. So I think this will be our best card as far as results go and violence and freaking people going all out to try to take each other out. I think this is going to be our best card that we put forth together.
Belcher is kind of a unique case, right? Because he was in the UFC for a long time ago at 185, and he's kind of like remade himself as a heavyweight. He's like a giant guy now, and he's been doing real well in bare knuckle, and now he's fighting for the heavyweight title against a guy that I think everyone knows in big country, Roy Nelson.
Well, I followed Belcher for a long time. Belcher was fighting a teammate of mine a long time ago, and I did the whole camp for my teammate. 6 weeks of training, 5 weeks of training. I'm trying to mimic Mr. Belcher, So I've known Belcher for a while. I've seen his career as he progressed and stuff. And then he stopped all of a sudden one day and then reemerged boxing. And he actually can box, can move, can pivot, can fake, can jab. And it was amazing to see that whole freaking restructure of him just boxing. I know he has phenomenal jiu-jitsu. He's always had a great ground game, great kicking. I think he's overall just a great fighter, Roy Nelson, though, is just that X factor, man. He could hit you at any one moment and you're down. He could take your best shot. He can make you scramble. He can make your heart rate get up there while he's calm, cool, and collected. And then all of a sudden he puts that little tracer on you. It's good night, So I think this is gonna end up being my favorite fight of ever. I think, man. You never know going into the fight, truly, but this was the one that I'm betting might be fight of the night, knockout of the night type statuses.
The last time that you and I spoke was around the fight between Junior Dos Santos and Fabricio Verdum, which was a really big main event of two former UFC heavyweight champions. Dos Santos came out of that one as the winner. Does he fight the winner of Belcher versus Big Country now for the heavyweight title?
That's in heavy talks. We're leaning towards that way, but nothing's for certain yet. Dates, times, everything has to make sense when these guys compete now in November. If they could go in January, or we're seeing what we do, So that's definitely one of the plans.
I find the timing of Gamebred Bareknuckle MMA kind of interesting and in a good way, because like there's a little bit of a transition period going on right now in combat sports. Showtime is getting out of the game as far as boxing and MMA. It seems like Bellator is not going to finish out the year, at least how we know it as it is now, whether that gets bought by PFL or whatever. But it seems like there's going to be fighters available, right? And fighters who are going to be looking for fights coming up in 2024. Is Gamebred Bareknuckle and I know your other promotions could they be the places where those fighters end up?
100,000,000%. I've always been a fighter in my life first and foremost. So I'm always going to want to give back to the fighters. We're going to have 10 to 12 shows next year. So I'm going to be able to keep people busy, mouths fed, It's awesome, I feel like even when Bellator and PFL and any of these things are around, with the views I've been doing, the noise that I've been created, I feel like I'm a solid number 2 in the promoting league. I've been doing it for only 3 years, 4 years, but I mean, the engagements that we're getting, the views that we're getting, we're already bigger than a lot of these other shows, And I'm talking about PFL and Bellator as far as like views go. What I did on my YouTube channel, my little YouTube channel, as far as views went on one night, is insane. It would have crashed Bellator's website, And it's not to throw shots at them. It's just that we're doing something right. And I built an empire off violence. You know, people know me for what I bring. You know, now I'm bringing them to this new era of violence, and they're loving it. So I I see it like the best time ever. You know, even less competition, more athletes for me to grab up, more chances to get myself in these platforms maybe that some of these individuals were in and whatnot. You know.
If you could choose any active fighter right now to be part of Gamebred Bare Knuckle MMA, who would be like your dream choice?
There's a lot of guys, man. There's a lot of guys. We're working on them right now. Got this Russian guy from Glory. He's very, very good. He's a two-time champion, light heavyweight. He also fought Alex Pereira. I really like this Russian guy. He's phenomenal.
What's his name? You know?
And I don't want to butcher it. I know his name, but I don't want to mispronounce it. But he was a two-time Glory champion. We've been talking to him for a while. This guy is freaking phenomenal. Good. He could be a boxer. He would go far in boxing as well. He hasn't. So we're trying to get him over. We're working it out. You know, just basically my dream guys are the guys that are dogs that actually want to do it, you know, not just like, oh, I just want a paycheck. No, so you want to have to want to fight like that and condition yourself mentally for that next level of freaking violence, you know, and those are the guys that I want, the biggest dogs that I could get, you know.
By the way, Bellator maybe going away. Is that a little sad for you? Because you were one of kind of the key guys in the very, very early days of that promotion.
I started on Bellator. I was part of their first show, and like a lot of shows that I fought for that are no longer available, that are all like defunct and dead in the graveyard. This will be another one to it, you know. It's tough to make it in this business. I've known it. I fought for like maybe 8, 9 promotions that are no longer here. It's not easy, you know. And Bellator, I mean, dumped out a lot of money for many, many years. They were holding the #2 spot strong, but it's just so competitive, the fight world, you know, and to be able to keep up with the demands and everything.
Like we were just saying, it's kind of like a weird transition period, like a crossover period in combat sports. And you had some comments on your social media about that fight from a couple of weeks ago with Dillon, Danis, and Logan Paul and KSI and Tommy Fury. You didn't seem to be a very big fan of this.
No, I mean, I don't know. Just because it has that moniker boxing on it, I expect so much more. You know, I expect these guys to be, you know, better shape, a little bit meaner. You know, like carry themselves with that boxing nostalgia. You know, which I didn't see it. You know, Dillon's. I mean, I couldn't even watch the fight, man. It was bad. It was just bad. You know, it's a disrespect to boxing. Bad. And then I'm kind of upset Logan didn't knock him dead. I really wanted Logan to knock him dead, so I'm kind of mad at Logan. I hope he sends me my money back, you know. Not that I paid for it, but still.
Could we see you? I mean, because boxing is something that you've been passionate about for a long time. You talked about, idolizing, Roberto Duran growing up. Could we see you get into that world at some point, maybe?
Yes. So yes. And my yes is yes, and my no is no. And I'm telling you, that's a yes.
Okay. I mean, sometime soon.
I'll tell you this much. It's not this year.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. One of those guys that we just spoke about, maybe that you were bashing.
No, no names right now, but I can tell you it's early next year, and I can tell you somebody's gonna get killed.
Okay, I look forward to that. I look forward to that.
Great boxing.
Couple last things.
Just in your face.
Couple last things for you, man, and thanks again. Speaking about boxing and kind of these crossover fights, Fury versus Ngannou was this week. You're a pretty good MMA analyst. I know you like to bet a little bit. How do you break that fight down?
Tyson's the very best. Tyson's at the very top of the mountain. That is a very tall, highly thought it out mountain. You know, everybody wants to be at the top of that mountain, and Tyson's been there and been there for a while. And Ngannou's also at the top of the mountain of MMA, you know, but he's going into boxing, man. It's just a different world. I think he's gonna play with him, man. That's what I think. You know, Tyson's gonna play with him. He's gonna go in there, feint, move, just movement, lots of fakes, letting his hands go, letting Ngannou come out throwing hard, you know, and catch him later on. I always want to cheer for my MMA brothers and sisters, you know, but this is a tall order. This is like it, you know, and Ngannou, you know, I love it that he's a gambler because nobody's picking him. But if he does, which he does have the power, if he catches somebody, you know, and also he's gonna be awkward. Those first 2-3 rounds, he's gonna be awkward to Tyson. It's gonna be like that studying moment where Tyson is like, you know, taking pictures, seeing how he moves, how he reacts to the feints. In that process, data process exchanging, Ngannou could catch him, you know, with his wildness, his athleticism, throw a shot that Tyson's not used to seeing it from that angle with his head over here and his arm over there, or vice versa, you know. So it's very interesting to me. At the end of the day, I think Tyson wins, but if there's any action for Ngannou, I think it's early on, first 2 rounds, obviously.
Last thing, Jorge, and thanks again for taking the time out. Your friend and longtime teammate, Valerie Loretta, or I guess maybe I should call her Lola Vice, considering what she's doing now. She's doing real well right now in WWE and NXT. She's in the women's breakout tournament that I think is finishing up in a few days. Have you been following her progress? How do you think she's been doing?
Definitely, she's hometown girl from Miami. We trained out of a lot of the same gyms. I'm older than her, obviously, but we've been around the same gyms, the same fighting communities for a while. We're both in the same gyms in Miami, and we both ended up at American Top Team for a very, very long time. So we have a great bond, great relationship. We've known each other for a while. And I'm always cheering for her. You know, the fighting, she was starting to take off, do better. She was getting a lot of fame for it. But then this WWE contract came, and it just made sense for her to do this. You know, she still tells me every other day, like, I want to go back to fighting. I want to punch in the face. I hate this. I want to fight. I want to fight. You know, so I wouldn't be surprised if I see her back in the octagon at some point. You know, she's gonna go make some millions over at WWE and then come right back, I think, and get a couple scraps in.
She's doing real well over there. Like she's like a natural.
She's exactly that. Since the first video she showed me, I was like, you were meant to do this. You're like, this was you, bro.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much. Gamebred Bareknuckle MMA, Belcher Nelson heavyweight title, November 10th, Mississippi.
Tickets available at Ticketmaster.com.
There you go. Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my brother. Anytime, always, brother.